Okay, welcome everybody to Google Apps. Google Apps, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically like a Gmail account. Anybody can go and get a Google Gmail account, private account, and anytime you get a Gmail or Google account, they give you a lot of tools, calendars and other types of items you can use. Okay, so what Google did is they looked at businesses and they were looking at schools, education places, even colleges, and they had lots of discussions with them. And what they realized is that there was a huge disconnect between the technology people were using every day, all day, such as their phones or their tablets, even blogs or social networks. Those are tools that everybody's using. But the tools the businesses were using, the tools that the schools were using, were totally out of date. They're 10, 15 years old as far as technology. So there's this huge disconnect. And the disparity has to deal with satisfaction. People were very happy with their consumer electronics. They loved their Facebook, they loved their phones. But when they asked them, what about the tools you use at work, at your school, or at your job? They hate it. They hate all the tools they use. So Google wanted to be the solution to that problem. And they said, let's take all the services we give the average person and allow a business to use it, or allow an educational facility to use it. And so they went on that mission. And they've done amazingly well. Right now, the count is at least 40. There are 40 million users using Google Apps. I'm not talking about private Gmail. I'm talking business and educational use. Okay, 4 million businesses are using it. When you realize the power of it, you one day wake up and you said, I want to start a company. I want to start selling bicycles. That's my thing. You could create a website and set up a Google Apps account. Literally 1 to 2 days, you're ready. Your company is ready to go. Of course, you got to go get your business license, but besides that, you're up and running because the tools that Google has provided are truly corporate enterprise level. Now, a lot of schools have gone completely Google. A lot of the universities have just replaced their entire infrastructure with Google. So all of those servers and all of these, hundreds of equipments that their IT department was managing every day and patching and fixing, they got rid of all of that. Google handles all of it. Now I know it could be scary. Now you're putting all of your stuff into Google's hands. But so far there really hasn't been issue so far. And they do assure privacy, and they have a whole video. If those are your concerns, you could always talk to them and they'll tell you about all the IT type of stuff. But we're here today to talk about how to use it in our classrooms and what that might look like. But what I wanted to say is that Google Apps for Education is free. So why wouldn't people use it? It's free. If you're a business and you want to use Google Apps, it's $50 per user. So yes, that's where Google makes their money. Okay, so it is. I started my wife started 2 companies. I signed her up for 2 Google Apps, and it cost $50 every time I did that. But for us, it's free. You can create as many users as you want. I don't know why it's free. I'm sure they have their reasons, but it's free for now. So what I'm going to do is a little show and tell. I want to show you kind of how I was using Google Apps in my classroom, give you guys some ideas, and then I can go into a little more demonstration of the features. In 2011, when I was teaching a British Lit English 12 class, I had a vision at the beginning of the year that I wanted my website to be so good that a student didn't even have to come to my class and still pass. They can do all the assignments, all the tests, all the projects. Not only that, but they can connect with other students. They can connect with me. They might as well be living on the other side of the country and still get, show me that they're proficient, demonstrate to me their knowledge. We have a dialogue between each other, So that was my vision, and that was in 2011. As you can see, that's not just my vision. That's happening in education everywhere. With distance learning and online colleges, people are getting their master's degrees from universities they never stepped foot on their campuses, ever. I know when I got my second master's in educational media design and technology, that was from Full Sail University in Florida. I never seen the place. I wish I could have. But they really show you it is possible. So anyway, that was my vision. And a lot of teacher course websites I've seen tend to be more like business cards. It's like, here's my class, here's a picture of me and my dog, and here's the stuff we're doing. Okay, so Google Apps in your classroom looks completely different. Now, let me just say a little side note. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Web 2.0 tools, online presentations students can create, things like that. But here's the thing. If I'm going to train my students on how to use these tools, I'm going to train them using a tool that they can use outside of my classroom. So when I'm teaching them how to use Google Apps, they're actually learning the tools they need in actual real businesses, real corporations. They'll know how to immediately work within their Google infrastructure if they're using Google, as opposed to some third-party website where they can just upload an essay and we can make comments. Well, fine, but when they leave my class, they're never going to go to that site again, right? So that's one of the advantages of using Google Apps. So let's look at the English 12 class real quick, if the Wi-Fi can keep up here. Okay, so as you see, I have all my assignments listed right there. And one great thing about creating a site is it really forces you as a teacher to be organized and to think about what you're teaching. That structure you have to build into your website. So that's one of the nice little side things. So let's see, let's take a look at Canterbury Tales, one of the units here. I know it's a little hard to read up there. We'll do our best. So I'm a student. I haven't come to class at all. Let's just see. Let's see if I can do what I need to do. Alright, maybe home hospital, whatever situation you're in. Okay, first thing, let's see. I know there's a test on September 18th. Okay, what do I need to do? I need to read the prologue. I need to read the Nun's Priest Tale. I need to read the Partner's Tale. Oh, but I can't make it to the test. I won't be there on September 18th. Oh, don't worry. You can take the online exam. Okay, so I used QuizStar for that particular function. Okay, well, let's go through. Well, there's a presentation on September 15th or 16th. But you know what? I might not be there. Oh, guess I can't give my presentation. No, it's okay. We'll work with you. So, the first thing I need to do, I need to sign up for my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to view this little roster. Now, here's a Google document. This is a spreadsheet that you can create and make it public, so all students can have their hands on the same document. They can see what the assignments are. They can see which students have already signed up. And I know the big fear with making these public is, what if a kid goes in there and just deletes everything? Well, Google has a revision history, so I can go back at any point in time and just bring it all right back up. So you can't break it. Okay. Now, okay, so I'm a student. I haven't been to class, but okay, let's see. There's a spot available for the partner. So I could go ahead and put my name there. And I know that my partner is Rosa and Jasmine, and I have their email. So I can already immediately start connecting with those students right there. Okay, so I have my group. I read my stuff. I have my group. Okay, I haven't been to class yet. Okay. Oh, I got to read. Well, I didn't go to school. They didn't give me the textbook. I don't have the textbook. I can't read it. It's okay. Here's the online one that you could read. So, Alright, well, that takes that excuse. So I'm going to read, okay, present the tale to the class, okay. Now here's the thing, I'm working with a group. I want to teach 21st century skills. I want these students to not only learn English, but know how to use, how to work as a team, how to work in a group. So I provide a peer evaluation form. This is another Google Doc that you can create. It's a form. You can create hundreds of forms. Once administration learns how to use forms, I'm scared. You're going to have lots of forms. Hey, just fill out this quick survey. Okay, so here's a form they can fill out, and they can talk about their other team members and what period they're in. And they say, hey, you know, Rosa, you know, she participated pretty good. I think she contributed useful ideas. I don't think she read anything. She's kind of weak right there. But, you know, so they can go ahead and evaluate their peers. And how you want to work that into your class is up to you. But it's a tool that we're using to connect, where they're learning how to work as a group. And even seniors, they have a lot of learning when it comes to working as a team and how to look at each other as a team. And so many businesses today are run with a very team-minded, you know, they have a team mindset. It's not so much, well, that's the boss and what they say everybody just does, you know, where the boss does all the thinking. You know, these days everything's collaborative. People are collaborating with people all around the world. Okay, so there we go. I work with my team. I have my rubric for my project, so I know what's expected of me. And then I can go ahead and produce my product online using other tools and turn that in. Send the teacher the link to my online presentation. Okay, so there we go. There's my presentation. And I took the test. Now, I also provide other resources. Here's the audiobooks. You know, so they can clean the house and listen to the partner's tale, clean their room. If there's other student projects, I'll provide those right there. So there's a little YouTube community going on. So again, this is building community. This is not, it's not a business card. Google Apps is about collaboration. That's just one example. Now let's go a little deeper into Google Apps with one of our final assignments, and that was working on their own original short story or novella. Now this is where we really start pushing Google Apps into the classroom. Of course, I had to create lots of tutorials for them, whether it's slideshows or videos. I really had to show them how to use Google Apps. So there was a little Google app training built into my English 12. And some of them felt like I'm doing so much computer class. I thought this was an English class. It's okay, because while they're learning the tech, they're also learning the English. And isn't that's what all these new standards are about. They're trying to multitask and do both things. One of the nice final products is they created their own Google site showing their entire final project. Here's a Google site I created as a model for them. But every step of the process, they learned how to create the site. But once they had the tools, they can then add in any content that I asked them to put. Hey, I want to know who your characters are. Create a blog for your characters. Okay, I want to know who, you know, heroes are. I want to know your plot. What's going on in your story? So they had to provide some sort of graph and table for that. They had to connect with each other through the social networks. They had to go into Blogger and then connect and comment on each other. And they were evaluated on that. They had to upload photos of some of their storyboards. Then they uploaded their Google Doc. So here's a Google Doc. Here's their actual writing right in here in a Google Doc. I know I'm going quickly, but I'll go back and look at some of these things. They had to write a bio. So what I'm saying is the website became their product. It became their digital portfolio where all of their work was there. And we use Google Apps to make that happen. But not only that, they worked with each other and are able to look at each other's digital portfolios and provide those comments. Okay, look at this. This is a Google Doc I shared with all of them, and they put All of their digital projects, their websites are all in one place right here. So they all had access not only to period 4, but period 4, 5, and 6. So now all three periods are talking to each other and interacting. Now, one of the big fears, if you look at the old model of teaching, the big fear is, well, what if period 5 person tells period 4 something? You know, tell them the answers. Well, as you see, go ahead. I'm not going to shut the door. Open the door. Talk to each other. It's not like there's an answer to a test going on here. Each one is responsible for their own digital product. So go ahead and share. And they're learning how to share. So this is what's interesting, and I pointed this out in the first class. It really blew my mind. But like I said, I had a vision. I wanted students to be able to get through a class without ever showing up. Well, by the end of the year, little did I know, but they nixed, British Lit. We're not teaching it anymore. Or if we are, I know I'm not teaching it anymore. So I put all this work into something, and now I'm not even there. But what's interesting is the tools that I built is still there. And the YouTube channel with all the videos and all the tutorials and all the discussions we had on literature, I just left it up there. And so I just looked, if I look today, there are right now 131 subscribers. Those are not the students I had in 2011, I guarantee you. 38,635 views. 38,000. That's way more than the students I had in those classrooms. So when you really invest in use Google Apps and you have this product, it's going to sustain years and years. I still get emails from students I don't know from around the world to say, hey, thanks for helping me with that essay. I don't even remember what I said on that day or how I helped, but there's a video somewhere they're looking at. Okay, so it was definitely well worth the investment. I know most people go into teaching because you want to make a difference. You want to make an impact. Well, there you go. Google Apps will enable you to get out of the classroom and out there in the world. So what you do for your students will benefit so many other people later. A class I don't even teach anymore is still educating people. YouTube, by the way, is part of your Google Apps package. It's included with Google Apps because Google bought YouTube. Okay, that was a little bit of a show and tell. Now I want to go ahead and demonstrate some of the very specific features of Google Apps. So to do that, it's a little tricky. I need to actually sign out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to sign in as two different people, so it's a little tricky. I'm going to sign in as a student, and I'll sign in as a teacher. We'll sign in as Alex Trebek. When you use Google Apps, it's always good to create. Once you have Google Apps, you can create student accounts. And I like that. One time, I had all my students get Gmail accounts. This is before we had Patriot High School Google Apps installed. Okay, I need everybody to have a Gmail account. Okay, well, most of them did. Problem is, more than half of them forgot their passwords. And now we're in the computer lab with we're just stuck twiddling our thumbs here. I can't do any kind of collaboration because half of them can't log in. Once I got Patriot High School apps installed, now I can create student accounts. Yeah, it took a little work on my part. It did. But this is something we're going to be using all year. So when I created the accounts, there was no problem. Hey, I forgot my password. I just went in, boom, reset. Go ahead. Okay, now, boom, everyone's always logged in. So it takes that excuse away when you have control over their accounts. So that was one huge, huge difference right there. Here, I'm Alex Trebek, and here I'm Mr. Wood. Okay. I wish it'd probably be easier to show you on two different screens, two different projectors, but we're just going to have to deal with what we have here. I'm Mr. Wood, I'm the teacher, and I want to create maybe a folder. I want my students to be able to turn in their work to me digitally. And what's nice about those student accounts is they're Patriot High School accounts. If all the teachers got on board, can you imagine? That student would have a folder they carry with them every year in every class. That was the dream many teachers were talking about years ago, about this whole idea of portfolios. And they're saying you got these, these big manila folders, and then, but the problem was, well, I don't know how to manage them. And what do you do with the old ones? And where do we put all of these? And there's a lot of logistics. Google Apps actually makes it possible to have a digital folder that walks with the student, but these are just dreams. I mean, the only way that'd be possible is to have all the teachers trained on it and to buy into it. But it's there. It's there on our campus. It is possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder right here. And I'll just call it my English 12 literature folder, let's just say. Okay, so I should see it somewhere. Oh, there it is. Now, the key is sharing. It's all about sharing. So now that I created my folder, by default, only I can see it. But I want all my students to be able to get in this folder. So I'm going to share, and I'm going to change the privacy to anyone with the link. Or I could even just say, make it public. Anybody can go in there. Doesn't matter. Or, so you could ratchet up the security up and down depending on your needs. So I'll just say anyone with the link. Okay, no sign-in is required. In fact, anybody can go in there and edit if I want, or if I'm scared of students, they can just look at it. They can't make changes. I'm going to take a risk and say, yeah, you can edit. Then I could do two things. I could either just add every single student into this little box, or I could just give them the link and put it on my course website. That's probably the easier way, right? If I go in this little box and I say invite people, it's going to send an email out to all of those people with the link to the folder. You see? I just put the link on my website. Hey, check out the folder, click on the button. Okay, there we go. Now I have a folder. Let's go a step further and actually share it with Alex Trebek. So I'm going to type in his name right there. He has a Patriot High School account that I created. And there he is right here. I can also lock down individuals. So maybe I trust all my students except Alex. So I could just make Alex can view and he can't touch anything. You have that control over that. Okay. As a student, I need to go in my email and accept the invitation. I've shared an item with you. English 12 Lit. Cool. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on this little blue button that says Add to Drive. Open in Drive. So now it's mine. We both share the same folder now. So I'm Mr. Wood, and I can drop files in here. If there's something I want all my students to look at, I can put it in here. But you kind of have a course website for that sort of thing. The folder is for them to talk to me. What I'm going to do is tell my students, okay, just see that English 12 Lit folder? Put all your work in there. That's how you turn it in. Just put it in that folder. Alright, so I'm Alex Trebek. And I'm going to create a document. So now I'm using a Google Doc, which is great because most students I've talked to, they don't have Microsoft Office at their house. Okay, a little expensive for a lot of people. And not only that, but you have to install it on every single machine. And with Google Apps, you have it on any device for free. Now, I'm not knocking Microsoft Office. I use Office all the time for different projects. But for these purposes of working with students, Google Apps works really well. So here's my research paper, or whatever, my lit paper I'm supposed to be doing. Let's just say, here's my paper, right? I'm writing my paper. Here's what's amazing. It's just totally amazing. I'm sitting here working on my paper. And I'm going to make sure it's shared. I'm going to put my name. Okay. Alex period 4 lit paper. So I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to make sure I share it with Mr. Wood. Yep, there it is. It's already shared with him. Automatically, because anything I do in that folder is automatically shared. We can actually work on the same document at the same time. That's the beauty of it. Now I'm the teacher, and maybe I can make comments. So I'm going to insert a comment. See up here, it says who's there with me. Alex Trebek is signed in with me, so we're both here. If we want, we could talk to each other on the side. Or I can just make a comment. Say, I don't like this word. Or say, I could just say spelling or whatever you want, comment you want to make. Now let's go to Alex. There's the comment right there. See, it's instantly there. Now I'll go ahead and fix the spelling, and then I could just say, okay, that's resolved. So the comment's gone. Okay, so we're both working together to make a nice, beautiful masterpiece. But let's talk about a little bit about workflow, because for a lot of teachers, working together with a student just isn't always possible. You know, so you might have like a due date. Hey, everybody turn in their first draft by this time. Well, there's ways you can do that with Google Apps. I could tell Alex, hey, when you think that's the best you can do, then you're going to call it your first draft. Okay, and I'm very visual, so I told my students to go ahead and change the color, you know, to like a blue or something to that effect, or however you want to do that. So I know the blue copy means that's their best first draft that they can do. Alright, so now with all the first drafts in my folder, as a teacher I can go in, see it's blue on my side too. I can go in and start making my corrections, my comments, so I can mark it up. So now Alex Trebek can resolve all the comments, make the changes, and he says, okay, Mr. Wood, I think I've made all the changes that you said, and now I want to make that my second draft. So the yellow tells me, okay, that means that's the best job you can do for your second draft. So that's just a workflow if you want to do it that way instead of sort of the simultaneous idea. Possibilities are endless. I did this with a document. We could do the same thing with spreadsheets, as I showed you, the lists signing up for reading groups. We can do the same thing with slides. Google Apps allows them to create their own slides. I'm going to say create presentation. And they can go ahead and create slides just like in PowerPoint. And I could add comments and I can make changes. So whether it's a slide or a spreadsheet or just a document, we can share in that experience together. Like I said, possibilities are endless. It's up to you, your imagination, the workflow of your course, how you want to integrate Google Apps. It is a process. The purpose of this little class we have today is just an introduction, an overview. It would seriously take a little longer to teach each of those applications, but I hope I gave some of you guys some ideas of how you can collaborate with your students with digital tools like Google Apps. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of communities out there too to help with a lot of these things. The best thing is the steps is to get your own Patriot High School account. I can create that account for you if you need that, and just get in there and start playing with everything and then seeing what you can do. But as an account holder, just realize you have the power to create accounts for your students. Okay, so is that it? Anything else? All right, thanks everybody. All right.